Welcome back to This Week in CAA Football. I'm Bobby Broyles, joined by my colleague Tim McDonald. Looking back at Week 2 now, a lot of noise coming out of the league as CAA football once again instilled fear in its FBS opponents on Saturday, while James Madison, New Hampshire, and Richmond all came up short after falling in the final seconds of their FBS games. Maine was able to knock off a familiar foe and former conference rival UMass out of the MAC. The Black Bears brought home a 24-14 victory to give CAA football its second win of the season over an FBS team.
Down in Gillette, the Black Bears show up to play, and Bobby, we always talk about versus an FBS team, you need to have every bounce. And you look at that Maine game, they got out to an early lead, they kept their lead after half, and they kept their foot on the gas pedal. Then you look at Richmond, JMU, and New Hampshire, and they just didn't have everything in the tank, and I think that's what it comes down to. Obviously, penalties, everything, even a bounce on a fumble, you need everything to happen for an FBS win. Unfortunately for three teams this week, they found it out the hard way, losing by a combined 7 points across the board, Bobby. Still, there's a lot of good things to take out of those games moving forward.
Now it's time to look ahead to the third week of the regular season. Hard to believe we're already in Week 3. We begin with Albany's first ever conference game as a member of CAA football as the Great Danes host Rhode Island under the lights at 7 o'clock at the new Bob Ford Field. A lot of excitement around this one, Tim.
I think this is the perfect time for this Albany program to open its home opener. It's the CAA. It's their first true game. They're playing a URI team who got shut out last week versus Stony Brook. Albany comes into this game. Omar Osborne, the running back, really stepped up last week. 252 yards rushing. They really just want to dictate through the ground game. I think that's what Coach Bob Ford wants to do. He's going to be a little nervous for this one. I think he won't admit that, but this has been a long time coming for this program. A brand new stadium. It's going to be filled. People are going to be there. It's on TV. Bobby, everything lines up perfectly. This game, CAA football is going to be doing an on-campus feature like we did last week at URI. It's going to be exciting. The question is, can the Danes show up for the home team? I think they can. It's great opponent to try to run the ball against in URI.
Remember, you can catch the Great Danes and the Rams on several Comcast Sportsnet affiliates in addition to Time Warner Cable in the New York area and on NECN for you New Englanders. This game also will be available live on CAA.TV for any out-of-market viewers. Tim, let's go ahead and break down an afternoon matchup that takes us back to our FBS versus FCS discussion as we have Delaware traveling to Annapolis to face Navy at 3:30 on the CBS Sports Network.
Coach Brock and the Blue Hens, what an opportunity. Navy, a triple option team. They're going to run the veer. Bobby, we know what they're going to do. The question is, can Delaware stay disciplined? That's going to be the biggest question. Last time Delaware played Navy, they lost, but years before that in 2007, put up 59 and won that game. That's also their last FBS victory. The Blue Hens are sitting pretty right now. They're 2-0. Coach Brock, that offense has been progressing. Trent Hurley, 4 touchdowns last week versus Delaware State. He looked great. The question is versus Navy, can you stay sound? Their quarterback, Keenan Reynolds, he's an absolute beast. He carried the ball, 32 times last week. That's a lot for a triple option offense. Delaware, if you can stay sound and play perfect ball on defense, you have a chance to win this game. Like we said, you need some bounces. Watch out for special teams.
Also kicking at 3:30 will be Stony Brook, which will have its own shot to take down an FBS program as the Seawolves meet Buffalo on ESPN3.
And Lyle Negron takes over the offense last week at URI. They put up 24 points. The defense also shined. Look at this Stony Brook team. Last year they beat Army, so they're familiar with these FBS games. They played well at Syracuse. Still, Buffalo's a team, Bobby, who I don't like the athleticism if you're just looking at from a matchup standpoint. Buffalo played really well against Ohio State, lost that game in the season opener. Last week, though, some good news maybe. They lost 70-13. Certainly not good news for them, but good news for the Stony Brook Seawolves. Let's build off that and see how Stony Brook can prepare against this team defensively.
Now onto our quick hit segment where we preview the rest of this weekend's action around the league. We begin on Saturday at noon with New Hampshire looking to bounce back in its home opener against Colgate.
Bobby, how do the Wildcats respond from that heartbreaking loss, the last-second field goal at Central Michigan? They really let that game get away from them. Now Gavin McGarney and Colgate comes in a week after losing to Albany. So you're going to have some trends there. You're going to see what they did offensively. UNH, the question is, can they bounce back from that loss, especially on defense where they played well in the first half, did not play well in the second half.
Coming off its second ever win over an FBS opponent, Maine will head home to play host to Bryant at 3:30.
Maine, talk about a great schedule setting up. Their first 2 games are away on the road. Just to get out of that 2-0, Bobby, is great. Now they come home to Orono up north. I like Maine in this game. I like Maine. Jordan Harris, the receiver for Bryant, he's very good, very underrated. They have to stop him on offense. Bryant's 2-0 also, but Maine against Bryant in the past has had some success.
Moving into our evening slate now, JMU looks to rebound from last week's loss when it returns home to host St. Francis at 6 o'clock.
And Coach Mickey Matthews, after JMU's game versus Akron last week, he had some concerns because the last play of that game was very questionable. The refs didn't handle the ball, but whatever happened, it's over. Their players need to move on from that. Michael Birdsong, how is he going to let that offense respond? Daquan Scott, he's a guy to watch. He's a player, Bobby. He's a PTP. He can do anything. Watch him this game against the St. Francis team who's good on offense, not great on defense. Again, it's at home, so JMU advantage that.
Just for you folks at home, PTP.
Primetime player.
Also kicking at 6 o'clock over on ESPN3, Richmond hits the road to take on Gardner-Webb.
The Spiders go into NC State, Carter Finley Stadium. Bobby, I don't know if you watched that game. It was quiet. It was very quiet. NC State, the only reason they get out of that game, they nail a 48-yard field goal late with less than a minute left. That's basically how they won that game. Ben Edwards, the receiver, the All-American, went out of that game in the first quarter with a laceration. Question is for Richmond, do you move on? Again, it's a similar team this week. Coach Rocco, can you get your troops to look forward? It's a road game. It's at Gardner-Webb, a Big South team. They should take care of business, but the question is, will they have their mind ready for this task?
And like you said about Ben Edwards, Rocco on the teleconference call this week, a very beat-up Spider team heading down to Gardner-Webb. William & Mary will also be on the road on Saturday when the Tribe travels north to face Lafayette at 6 o'clock.
How about William & Mary defensively stepping up? Jerome Copeland, he's showing why he's one of the best playmakers in this league on defense. Last week against Hampton had a monster game. They only give up 6 points to Hampton, 31-6, 31-7. Are you kidding me in that last game? And that's against a Hampton team who's not bad. I think William & Mary goes to this game with a lot of confidence, especially on defense, which people didn't think maybe that would be their strength this year.
And this is a rematch game from last year where a lot of people felt Lafayette upset William & Mary down in Williamsburg. We wrap up our take on Week 3 with the Towson Tigers, who look to move to 3-0 when they welcome Delaware State to United Stadium at 7:30.
Towson went to Holy Cross last weekend. It was close for the first quarter. Then after that, Towson just said, we're gonna open this game up. You saw Peter Athens really look well passing in the pocket. Terrence West, he becomes the school's all-time leader in total touchdowns. I don't know what to say. It's his junior year. It felt like he's been there for 6 years. Yeah. Towson goes into this game with a lot of confidence, especially after that win, but also knowing that Delaware really handled Delaware State last week. So that's something to keep an eye on, especially that O-line versus Delaware State C-line.
Remember, fans, you can follow all of these games on our game day page on CAAfootball.com, which features links to live stats and audio and video streaming for each of this weekend's 9 games. Also, remember to check in with us on Sunday with our new look Sunday Rundown.
And there's many ways to keep up with the league on social media, Bobby. You can check us out on Twitter at CAAFootball. Use the official hashtag if you're at home and want to see what's going on from around the league, hashtag CAAFB. Facebook, you can search CAA Football, and Instagram and Vine by searching CAA Football.
Last week, CAA Football was in Rhode Island for the Stony Brook Rhode game. If you haven't checked out our on-campus coverage, including our first Going Deep feature of the season, find it all on CAA.tv and CAAfootball.wordpress.com. Our colleagues Zach Burris and Alex Souza will be on campus again this weekend when they travel to Albany for the opening of Bob Ford Field and Saturday night's matchup between the Great Danes and Rhode.
And stay tuned on CAA Football, our official Every Day is Saturday blog with highlights, analysis, and other news from around campus. On-campus coverage coming up, Bobby, at this Albany trip. It should be another great weekend of CAA football action.
No doubt, my friend. Well, that will do it for us this week. Enjoy the games this weekend, and we'll see you right back here next Wednesday.